JAMO every single night, 8 to 10. But we're going to get into this here. Press conferences. There was a press conference today. The first segment we're going to do was not Dan Campbell.
Nope.
Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson both spoke to the media today. Broder was in attendance for that, and we have a lot of different clips here. And I'm going to what we're going to do with this is I'm going to lead it off with a little bit of a question or a statement here, and then we'll go into that because there's 6 different clips here that we're going to go into. So let's start with the Ben Johnson and Jameson Williams stuff here.
Sweet.
Ben Johnson, JAMO. So we were just talking about that. Kind of if Amon-Ra sits out, correct? What would happen? Does JAMO get more snaps? Because that was something that's been a question. Was a lot of people are talking about it. I'm sure a lot of you in the chat, me and myself, said that JAMO's going to be on not a limited snap count, but they're going to slowly get him in there because obviously he's not injured right now. Mm-hmm. So it's like, how do we get him involved in the offense? Ben Johnson actually talked about it a little bit, which kind of made me feel a little bit better about how he's confident that how he can use JAMO, not just JAMO, but with JAMO coming back, how he can use other guys. So here's Ben Johnson on putting JAMO into this offense.
What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I would say this, not just about JAMO, but about all of our guys. Whoever we have up on game day, we have plays for. They have a role. Some guys more than others, but every week, everyone we are intentional about getting everyone involved in doing things that they're capable of doing. Whether the play gets called or whether the coverage dictates the ball going to them, that's a different story. But
that's it, brother.
Dude, I'm sad.
Why?
He looks like such a head coach.
He does. I was thinking that in that press conference today.
He's such a head coach.
The way he was talking.
It's great. It's just not great for us. We're going to lose him next year.
He's grown a lot, too, because you remember press conferences last year, like a little quieter. Now he's up and at it. Like he looks like a head coach.
And
now.
the fact, we were not going to talk about it today, but there was a question asked to him about the recruiting process when he was going through becoming a head coach, because he interviewed at Carolina, and he said, well, guys, we're not going to talk about that during the season. We spent our time like all these coaches, even AG, when we see him, they just keep getting more and more polished. But the question was about JAMO. Sorry, go ahead.
I would say the question about the Panthers. Him asking them about the the head coaching job, he shut that down so fast.
He did.
He was like, I'm not to be rude here, but we're not talking about that.
Yeah.
And then someone asked him a question to follow that up, and he was
the same
like,
guy.
Yeah, and he was just like, no.
He's a vet too. He's the one guy that can push the buttons a little bit.
I figured it. I know who it was, but
Yeah.
I figured he was allowed to ask that second question. If you did that,
I would be out of that room so fast.
Really?
No, but I wouldn't do. You got to earn some credit. Like this is. I don't have the credibility, the experience.
We need to get Broder some street cred around here.
Takes time. No, in 5 years, when you still see me in that seat,
and 8 to 10 here.
Exactly. But JAMO, they have plays scripted up for each one of their like. If you're an offensive player on the active roster, Ben Johnson has plays scripted for you. Whether they get called or not, and this is what he was saying in his press conference, whether they get called or not is another story. So if Jameson Williams is active, and I don't believe it's actually been officially, I don't think he's officially been activated or on that roster. Julian Aquara also. It's not official that they're on that active roster, but he said if they are, there will be plays scripted for you. It's whether they get called or not. So the more I think about it, actually, you brought up in the first segment, Amon-Ra being out. Jameson, he and Amon-Ra actually probably are the two most are the least similar in terms of where their route tree, in terms of where they're going to be. Might be more Khalif Raymond, might be a little bit more Josh Reynolds in Amon-Ra type spots, maybe even more Sam Laporta. I would expect to see more of him. So we'll see. I'm excited to see how they start using JAMO.
That's where my head was at when I heard that, and at that time I didn't really even think about the St. Brown injury, so that never popped in my head with it, but it gave me a little bit of confidence to know that they're definitely going to give him the ball or try to find spots within the game. But you know what also that kind of makes me feel?
What?
Is Ben Johnson's he's not going to go out there and try and force things. He's not going to go out there with the game plan knowing that Jameson Williams is back and just sit there and go, we're going to try and get him the ball. We're going to try. No, he had, like he said, we have scripts and we have plans for each player on the team. If they're active and they're there, they're going to have a handful of plays there for them within the script. So we know we're going to see JAMO Sunday in some capacity, and if St. Brown's out, that script changes and maybe some more plays get added to JAMO there.
Yeah.
So because we've seen some of Ben Johnson's scripted plays for JAMO. They've been literally last year. As Neil Rule says, he touched the ball 4 or 5 times, and every time he basically was in the end zone. Stepped out of bounds, flag on a couple of them, and got called back.
You see a reverse, Jahmyr Gibbs, a little pitch to Jamison Williams going the other way.
Yes.
Jared Goff out front, laying a block.
I just posted that today on Woodward.
Nice.
I was like, man, I don't think we have it. It's just a great block from Goff. Let's transition to that then real quick. That you said Jahmyr Gibbs on that reverse, kind of taking up kind of that space there. I don't know if you guys saw the reverse there with Khalif Raymond, but the defense collapsed on Jahmyr Gibbs. And Ben Johnson spoke about it today because we've all, including myself, everyone in the chat, you're lying if you didn't, we all have asked about the usage of Jahmyr Gibbs. Ben Johnson answered the question today. He answered it in the most perfect way possible. He came out and he didn't say, hey, listen, we're not trying to give him the ball. We want to give Jahmyr Gibbs the ball all the time. We want to get him in the position. We know how good he is. He's the 12th overall pick for a reason. But to this point, and it proves that he's the 12th overall pick, as soon as he touches the field, defenses know, and they have been on him. They haven't been targeting Amon-Ra St. Brown. They haven't been targeting Jared Goff. They've been eyeing in on Jahmyr Gibbs. And Ben Johnson right here, he talks about it, and he kind of breaks it down for the people fantasy owners who are mad about it. Here's Ben Johnson on Jahmyr Gibbs.
Really last week, too, Green Bay was about a quarter in and saw that they were calling the game completely different when 26 was in the game. And so that's a sign of respect for him that guys are looking at him and they know where he is on every single play. Hell, the reverse went for a major gain, partly because the ball was in his hands to start the play. So it's a challenge for us as a coaching staff to, even though they have a plan to slow him down and stop him, we are still creating opportunities for him. And that's a good challenge for us.
And Buddha, that came right after he was talking about, he went into Green Bay this last week, the next week. It was right before he was talking about Atlanta, and they had they had game plan for Atlanta's defense, but on game day, they came with this, what did I write down? Butch technique, he called it, which Atlanta ran. They never ran it last year. Their defensive coordinator, who was in New Orleans, had never ran it before, so it caught him by surprise.
So it's a Bill Belichick.
Yeah, so what it taught him is they're scheming for, the opposing teams are game planning for Jahmyr Gibbs. Yep. It's a sign of respect. They're still going to try to give him the ball, but we see, I know people don't like the decoy word, but just having the ball in his hands makes a huge difference.
Like Jahmyr said, I think the respect angle that Ben Johnson said, I think that respect angle that teams, he hasn't even, coming into the Kansas City game, he played one game in Atlanta already, or 2 games in Atlanta's already doing that to him.
Yeah.
They know. He has that respect off the bat. The fact that they're eyeing in on just him on that offense, and they're putting their defense basically around that and that scheme around it, that shows right there. And I did see a lot of people in here, and I saw you as well, bro, to put feed Monty. I 100% agree, because if say you have them both on the field at once and Jahmyr's sitting there in the slot or something, Monty's going to have everything open. Sam Laporta, when Jahmyr Gibbs out there, it's going to open things up for Sam Laporta. It opens things up for Amon-Ra St. Brown, Josh Reynolds. You're able to use him as a decoy, and that's a positive thing.
Yes.
That's not a negative thing. That is not negative at all. We should all be glad that that Ben Johnson came out and said this is the reason why we haven't been able to get him the usage and get him the plays that everyone's asking about, is because they're scheming against him and him alone.
And also in terms of Monty, in terms of other things they do off of that, Ben Johnson was talking about how their goal is to be able to morph into whatever the game sort of gives to them. If it turns into a Green Bay Packers game where they need to feed Monty the rock for 32 times, they're going to do it, and they're going to do it successfully. If they need to throw the ball 40, 45 times, they're going to do it, and they're going to do it well.
And someone in here in the chat, where is it at? Someone said feed the hot hand. I can't remember where it was. But that's exactly, Ben Johnson actually said that in the press conference.
Yeah.
He was like, I know he's coming off an injury, but David Montgomery, he was getting everything for us. And he was running extremely hard. He was like,
feed him.
We ran with the hot hand.
Feed him. By the way, shout out Shane Daniel says Flannel needs to watch this to get off the Gibbs not being used properly train.
You know what I'll do is I'll send Flannel this clip. I'll throw that clip specifically in the morning Woodward thing, and I'll send it to them just so Jeff can play that for Flannel. Because I think
Flannel isn't in the minority though. Like the people are bitching about Gibbs.
Does that kind of clear it up though? And in the chat, like if people want to answer, yeah, that to me it cleared that up. It cleared that whole conversation up. Jalen, Nick, does that? Are we crazy for thinking that kind of cleared up that usage conversation?
Yeah, in my eyes, it truly does, because Ben Johnson and this Lions team only want to win games. They don't give a shit where Jahmyr Gibbs was drafted, and they don't give a goddamn about your fantasy team. So that's, simple as day. Ben Johnson basically came out and said that.
Yeah, Jalen, did you feel the same way?
I just think it's whoever, fits the play, whoever fits the scheme and everything. Like, he's top 15, but, like, I want him to get used, on the field or whatever, like, motion offense, but, like, whatever's working, why mess it up? If Khalif's doing good on those wheel arounds and stuff like that, use him. If Amon-Ra's doing this, like Jahmyr is cool, but if the defense knows about him, why force feed him? You don't have to force feed him yet, because slowly on they can't contain him forever. That's just not going to work in football. Somebody's going to always get off. So I feel like Ben Johnson just saying what he said as a OC, as a future head coach, probably I think he did pretty well explaining that to everybody.
You know what's going to help that out as well too, and open that up to Jalen's point. JAMO coming back, the defense is going to have to start dialing in on all these guys.
Who do you worry about?
That's the issue. Is you have St. Brown, JAMO, Jahmyr Gibbs, and if Monty's out there, you have Monty, you have Sam Laporta, Josh Reynolds. Like, they're unlimited weapons. It feels like it just Jared Goff just has dudes around him right now.
Yeah, dude, it's special.
Defenses are gonna, and you have Ben Johnson scheming up plays.
Dude, in the next segment when we play Amon-Ra St. Brown video, he talks about the benefit to him and the other receivers in their room when Jameson's on the field, just the extra little space it gives them. Like I said, maybe we'll play that right at the beginning of the next one, but.